Get started here. My name is D.G. Spears. I am a curator of the Tao of Maud project online, and today's presentation is called Bronyism, or as I like to call it, can we all just get along? One of the things that goes on in life is we all make assumptions on the way that a thing should be in a certain way. My Little Pony goes through that a lot. I mean, because people remember My Little Pony from when it first got introduced in the early 90s. And they all assume that's what My Little Pony is supposed to be. Now, people remember this lady, okay, Lauren Faust. We all know who Lauren Faust is. Do you know why Lauren Faust is involved with My Little Pony? I mean, she worked on Iron Giant, Cats Don't Dance, because as an animator. She worked on Powerpuff Girls. That's where she met her husband, Craig McCracken. She did foster home for imaginary children. Then she created a line of dolls called Milky Way and the Galaxy Girls. And she pitched those to Hasbro to do a TV series. And Hasbro said, yeah, no. But you see, at the same time, Hasbro had just had this great success with this other line of toys that they had. You may have heard of them. Transformers? You know, More Meets the Eye. They had just turned it into this huge multi-million-dollar movie. Michael Bay got involved, Steven Spielberg got involved, Kurtzman and Orsi, the screenwriters got involved. They're made buku bucks. They started doing other TV series, got involved in that kind of stuff, made new animated series, all sorts of things. And they thought, wow, we could revamp some of our other properties, like Pony. Now, so they turned to Lauren, who had just come along with this thing. They looked at her background and they said, want to take a roll at this? And that? Now, you have to remember what Pony was like at this time. Right? That was the logo. This is what it sounded like.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh. G3.5.
Dear God, save us from cookie cutter ponies. That's what we were facing at that point from that. Lauren got handed that, and she got a year. They basically told her, come up with something different, a whole series Bible, something else. Now Lauren, the problem with that was, while she played with the ponies, she would rather have played with G.I. Joe dolls. That's in her bio. She actually said that. So she came up with the concept of ponies that also had adventures as much as slice of life stuff, which was all that series and that. And so ponies that did have friendship, but they had conflict in their lives. They bumped heads and stuff like that. And so what we came up with instead was what we know of as My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. It took them 2 years to put that together. So in 2008, she got the job. In 2010, we saw the first fruits of that. Completely different. Every assumption that people had made about what My Little Pony was supposed to be got blown out of the water there. You make assumptions about what something is supposed to be, and suddenly it gets turned on its head.
My little pony, my little pony. My little pony. I used to wonder what friendship could be. Until you all shared its magic with me. Big adventure, tons of fun. A beautiful heart, faithful and strong. Sharing kindness, it's an easy feat. And magic makes it all complete to have mine. Do you know you're all my very best friends?
Now the thing about that is, it doesn't just move fast. There are 13 jump cuts in the 35 seconds that you see here. It's brightly colored, all right? The colors are not just brightly colored, there's a lot of contrast in the color. It moves, it pops, there are flashes in that. The whole idea is that it's a completely different concept for My Little Pony. It's energetic, right? It's unlike anything else that people had seen before with this. It's a different pony. And when it got reviewed, it got killed in the reviews because people thought it was Generation 3 pony, Generation 2 pony, Generation 1 pony. People thought it was the same thing. They made the assumption it was the other stuff. Assumptions that things are like what we expect them to be instead of what they are. That'll get you in trouble if you make assumptions. But here's the thing. Folks at Hasbro had given her a really wide berth to try things out. What if they'd given her a wider berth? What if they'd said to her, you know, you've already got kids. Why don't you try to make it a bit more friendly to adults as well? I mean, you've gone from the ponies who are really small, childlike, to kind of young adults. I mean, they're now kind of adultish. They've got jobs. They meet for, you know, beverages at a place around the corner. So what if you made it about a hip urban sitcom-ish thing about 6 friends?
God. Oh, no.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you broke, your love life's the old way. It's like you're always stuck in second gear when it hasn't been your day, a week, a month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you, so there for you too.
Nice.
Another possible path. Could have been, wasn't, but could have been. Right? So we saw that. Friendship could have been there. But here's the thing. Now, she came on in 2008, right after Transformers was really big. What if there was this other possible path? You know, I mean, Michael Bay was huge. What if he'd gotten involved with My Little Pony in addition to Michael Bay? What might that have looked like, huh? Maybe some sort of action-adventure-y kind of thing? You know, where ponies were really involved with conflicts and, you know, action-adventure and things going boom and bang, lots of explosions. What might that have turned into? Instead of it just being, you know, friendship, might have been some sort of quest thing? Another possible path. So the whole idea behind that is, of course, different ways that things could have gone. Now, of course, in the end, we know that we got My Little Pony, friendship is magic. But we make assumptions about the way things should have been, when we know for a fact that there are always different possible paths in life. Keep that in mind as we go further down the path with me today. Now, My Little Pony has philosophy in it. What's that philosophy? Well, it's in the frickin' title. It says friendship is magic. Everyone should be friends. Everyone should be friendly with each other. There may be conflict, but in the end, you're going to get along, and through friendship, you're going to work things out. Okay? Turns out that friendship, there is actually a philosophy of friendship. Aristotle is the guy who started talking about this way back in the 4th century before Common Era. When he talked about this, right, he mentioned that talking about mutual respect in interactions, right? He mentioned the fact that there can be unrequited love, but there can never be an unrequited friendship. Always has to be a two-way street between people. All right? So, but there was a different philosophy mentioned in My Little Pony, not just the friendly friendship one. How many people remember this guy and what he mentioned? Just in case you forgot it, let me refresh your memory.
What is it, cutie mark?
Existential gator.
What is life? Is it nothing more than the endless search for a cutie mark? And what is a cutie mark but a constant reminder that we're all only one bugbear attack away from oblivion? And what of the poor gator, flank forever blank, destined to an existential swim down the river of life to an unknowable destiny?
That, my friend, is what's called existentialism, actually bordering on what's called nihilism. There is no end in sight. What's the meaning of life? Why am I here? Kind of stuff. Shakespeare, Hamlet, to be or not to be, that is the question. Friedrich Nietzsche in the 19th century was a big guy talking about this. He was more on the nihilistic side. You're going nowhere, you're going to die, it all doesn't matter, so there you go. Jean-Paul Sartre in the 60s, last century, was also a big philosopher discussing this kind of stuff. It tends to be really introspective, as you could tell from his discussions. So it tends to do a lot of navel gazing in regards to this. So why Gummy? Why have Gummy be this character? Anyone got an idea why? Yes?
He can't talk?
Well, no, actually, that's a good choice. It's that because he can't talk, all he's going to do is think all the time. But here's the thing. All right? It's a joke. It's one of the biggest jokes in the show. And now this show does jokes that adults get. Beyond the ones that kids get, it does a lot of jokes that adults get. I mean, everyone recognizes Doctor Who's, the Doctor. And all of the things, he's shown up throughout the show. Him and Rose have shown up walking through the background. He shows up in the episode of It's About Time and says, time travel, really? Not so sure about that. He shows up wearing 3D glasses at one point as a tribute to David Tennant wearing 3D glasses. In the episode about Rarity's shop opening up in New York City, you had both the ponies representing the characters from Pulp Fiction and characters from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles in the diner. You had, let's see what else. Ponies from The Big Lebowski showed up a couple of times in the show. Showed up for the Cutie Mark Crusaders, initially trying to be Cutie Mark Crusaders bowlers, and that destroyed the bowling alley. And they showed up again in Slice of Life. But regarding Gummy, you have the pony that is nihilistic, thinking about the end of the world and how terrible things are and how dark and bleak those are. owned by the bubbliest, friendliest, happiest pony in the world. And that is just the most bizarre combination in the world. So that's a joke. It's called irony. So, oh, and one other joke that I don't know if anyone's ever caught. If you get a chance to go back and look at the end of Return of Harmony, the last scene in the Return of Harmony is a shot-for-shot remake of the throne room scene from New Hope. Basically, when the ponies come in, walk up, get their reward from Celestia, it's the same as Han and Luke and Chewie walking in and getting the reward from Princess Leia at the end of that scene. And it's kind of funny, actually. So, but again, we make assumptions that things should be a certain way. And it turns out that they go in a different direction. Which brings me to what the subject is today, Zen Bronyism. Okay, now, Zen Bronyism itself started with the Tao of Maud, which is my project. Tao of Maud itself started in late October, early November of 2014. I came to the fandom that summer. I am a novelist, and I found out about Daring Do and met G.M. Barrow and that. And then I was watching episodes and I ran into Maud. I'm Zen Buddhist and Maud's Zen Pony, and so we just got along really well at that point. And I came up with the concept that I could create a daily message based on Maud, where she would send out a daily tweet, you know, just with a little funny saying or something like that. A little wise pony on a rock saying something. Or saying something about a rock. And that's what I did. So she started saying things like rock and hard place. You know? Or don't take anything for granted. There were a lot of rock puns up in the early days of this. But there was no rhyme or reason to this. It was just for having fun. We make assumptions. Things should be a certain way. That these kind of things should be for fun. And then life throws you a speed bump. My speed bump was named Adam Smith. How many people know who Adam Smith is? Okay, for those who don't, in May of 2014, there was a young man by the name of Adam Smith. He was a Brony, a fan, who wrote fan fiction and plagiarized from someone else. Adam was also a young man with developmental disabilities. He attempted to apologize for what he did via a YouTube video. Now, Bronies had savaged him pretty badly on film fiction for what he did. Now, as I mentioned, I'm a writer, I'm a novelist. Plagiarism is a pretty bad thing where I come from, but the gentleman was trying to do the right thing. That didn't matter. Bronies piled on and doubled down in their attacks on this young man. And the comments were savage, to say the least. And he couldn't handle it. 4 days later, he put a note on his bed, walked 4 blocks from his house in Manchester, England, and walked in front of a commuter train. Now, where this got involved was that in late November, early December, the inquest officer from the coroners published his findings that it was indeed a suicide, but directly to blame for the suicide was the comments of the fan community that he belonged to. What they said to him, how they treated him, directly caused his death. Bronies killed the kid. Now, I didn't find out about this until I saw the ripples through the community, about 4 days after the story came out. What bothered me about this was the reaction to the story on Equestrian Daily, Horse News, which was half bullying is a really bad thing, and half the kid got what he deserved. We watch a show about ponies and friendship, and we said a kid deserved to die. We are the first fandom to kill a member of our community, and we thought a kid deserved to die. Right? I'm in my 50s. I've been a member of different fan communities since I was a teenager and was a fan of Star Trek. I've never been a member of a fan community that killed a number of its own. And people had no problem. I had to think really hard. Did I want to be a member of this community? Did I want to do something about it? Did I want to just walk away? And I realized I have a very small voice in this, but perhaps I could use it to remind people why we like this stuff, why it exists. And so that's where Bronyism came from. The philosophy behind Bronyism is as follows. There is one road through life. We all share it. But there are many paths. Each of us has an individual, unique path on that road. We've got our own lane. It may cross others' lanes. It may parallel others' lanes at times. For this weekend, all of us are on parallel tracks next to each other. Then we will all tonight split off and go our own merry way again. Okay? We may run back into each other in another con or not. All right? But each of us has our own unique path. But every path, every single path is valid, and every single path should be valued. Your path is as good as your path. Your path is as good as yours and mine, and hers, and hers, and his. And while we travel down those paths, we have to make sure that we do no harm. We hurt nobody, not ourselves, and not anyone else. And not hurting yourself is just as important as not hurting anyone else. But how is I going to teach them? Because that's important. That's an important lesson, but it needs to be taught. How do you teach them? Well, I decided to start using the Tao of Maud. Focus on the attributes that the ponies represent. So each week, I would focus on a single pony and the attribute. And it was easy to start because they gave me a pattern. How many people remember the elements of harmony? Okay, go ahead. Someone start listing off the ponies and their elements.
Laughter.
Who's the pony and who's left?
Pinky.
And Pinky and laughter. Someone else.
Fluttershy. Kindness.
Okay, Fluttershy and kindness. Go ahead.
Applejack. Honesty.
Applejack honesty.
Rainbow Dash. Loyalty.
Rainbow Dash loyalty.
We got, we do Pinkie Pie?
Yeah. We already done Pinkie Pie, so who's left is Twilight. So. Rarity and generosity from behind the curtain over here. All right, right over there.
Twilight magic.
Okay, Twilight was magic, but I didn't want to use magic right up front, so I used Twilight and friendship. There we go.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
So that's where I went with the first 6. So that's great. That gave me 6 weeks. The problem I've got is this. There's 52 weeks in a year. What am I going to do? I can't keep doing the same 6 weeks over and over and over again. But there's other characters in the show. So how do I identify what their attributes are? Well, I had to think about it, look at it. So I got Spike. What attribute do you think Spike is?
Dependable.
Well, actually, Spike is service. He's there to be of service to everyone he can along the way. And so I started expanding it out along the cast along the way. As they introduced other cast members in other shows and other formats, I added them in. So for instance, I got both princesses and Sunset Shimmer. What attributes do you think the princesses and Sunset Shimmer would be? Yes?
Sunset Shimmer maybe change or
Forgiveness.
acceptance.
Okay, that's good. That's a good possibility. What about the princesses? No ideas?
Luna might be
Go ahead, Luna.
like repentance or trying to get back on track after you've done something.
Okay, that's a good possibility.
Celestia could be guidance.
Okay, Celestia might be guidance. Here's what I chose. All right, for Celestia, leadership, because she's in charge of everything. All right, for Luna, dreams. Now that she's back as Princess of the Night, she's in charge of everyone's dreams, making sure that they stay on track. And Sunset Shimmer has what is the ultimate redemption arc in the show. Over the Equestria Games. She goes from villain to hero over the course of 3 movies.
My absolute favorite.
So that's a redemption arc. But of course, villains get their own. Villains can teach us stories as well. So I've got Chrissy, I've got Discord, and of course Prince Rutherford, because Yakistan attributes are better than anyone else. So, given that, what do you think goes through there? Yes?
Discord could be like fun or knowing how to have a good laugh sometimes.
Hey, so
Which
this-
would be Pinkie Pie, but I guess it could be different.
Okay, so Discord you think is fun.
Knowing when to stop.
Okay, what about Chrissy?
Yeah. And Chrysalis might embody control.
Okay. What about Rutherford?
Familiarity.
Familiarity. Okay, well these are what I chose. Chrysalis's identity, because she's always changing it. Okay, Discord, chaos. Absolute chaos. Okay? Because after all, chaos-based magic is what he's all about. And then Prince Rutherford, anger. Guy's got anger management issues. Okay, so now you got my week, but what happens during the week? Well, each day there are each day of the week is a new message. So you get 7 messages that talk about or are related to that attribute. So it's a theme basically that runs through. Some of them may be more humorous than others, some of them are shorter than others, and that. So, like, the message that's up there is actually today's message. This week has actually been Zesty Gourmand's week. How many people remember who Zesty Gourmand is? Over there, yes. Who's Zesty Gourmand?
She's not Cantor High. The other school in the Equestria Games, she's their vinyl scratch, basically.
That's lemon zest.
Actually, no. There was an episode called Spice Up Your Life, if I remember correctly. And that basically what it was Pinky and Rarity went to Canterlot and helped a restaurant. And Zesty Gourmand was the critic that was giving away 3 hooves to restaurants and went in and said, no, this isn't. She is the attribute of criticism, about how to accept criticism, how to take and use criticism, or how to reject and deal with criticism that's negative by, you don't need to accept it if need be. So, each day these post on social media and they post on the website, taoofmaud.com. Okay, these are the addresses. Go on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram. There is a second Twitter account, taoofmaud.talks. That's where I actually communicate back and forth. The Tao of Maud is just where the post goes up. And that's the website address. Okay. The messages are simply to remind folks, right, that what the show's all about. Connecting, being friends, right, helping everyone. Get that message from folks all the time. You said exactly what I needed to hear today. That's great. And sometimes I'm going to get the message back, what the heck are you saying? That makes no sense. That is absolutely wrong. And that's okay too. That message was not the truth you needed to hear that day. Not a problem. Tomorrow there'll be another message. Every year there's 365, or this year there's 366 messages. They all come out one day at a time. So how does then Bronyism affect the posts? Okay, look, I don't claim to have the ultimate wisdom. I'm just a single guy who goes out there and looks for wisdom anywhere I can find it. All right, I pass them on as I find them. I pony them up. All right, the wisdom comes from everywhere, but it doesn't say, oh look, every pony, or here's a hoof in hand instead of the hand. So I pony everything as that's coming along, instead of instead of just being around people, so that it's more pony, that everything's pony related. But other than that, these are wisdoms that have been passed down through the ages. All right? But other voices exist out on Twitter, out on Facebook, in real books, pieces of paper, literature, and stuff like that. I highly recommend going out and finding those as well. All right? Don't listen to one person. But I find wisdom where I can from all sorts of all kinds of sources. The Dalai Lama, Captain Obvious, Kim Possible, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, George Bush. So, 1W. So, I find wisdom anywhere I can, because it all exists out there. Wisdom can come from anywhere. You just have to give it a chance to find it. That makes it all valid, okay? But what I do try to state is dogma-free. I have mentioned I am Zen Buddhist, yes, and so you are going to get pieces of wisdom that come from the Dai Jing. You're going to get stuff that comes from Zen proverbs and things like that. But I am not going to say, okay, this is all Zen all the time, and that's all that you're ever going to get. All right? I do not insist that you must follow my path. All right? My path is valid for me. All right? Your path is valid for you, and I value your path as much as I value mine. All right? I do not believe I have the exclusive rights on the truth. Neither do you. And neither does anyone else. If they tell you they do, they're wrong. Okay? Now it says, as we do no harm to ourselves and others, no harm comes in all sorts of forms. Physical violence is a given. We all know that. But it also deals in the way we interact with each other online. Don't say stupid shit. Pardon my French. Just don't. All right? It is so easy in this anonymous world to say you are an idiot. All right? And say hateful things because you can get away with it, especially in this world where we're not using our real names. How many of you have your real name on your badge? How many of you don't? You're not using your real name. How many of you use your real name online when you're communicating with your pony friends? A couple of you. That's it. The rest of you don't. You get involved in an argument, it's not a problem to say something stupid or something insulting or anything like that. Don't! Don't! Treat them with the respect that you want to be treated with. If you have a disagreement, okay, you have a disagreement. All right? You can disagree with someone respectfully. It's easy enough to do. You don't have to get to that level with anyone where you have to go and butt heads and be angry with them because of something like that. And that causes damage. We should be above that, especially in this community. Especially in this community. Right? But especially this community also involves how we treat ourselves. It is said that one of the reasons why Brony fandom is so popular is because it attracts a lot of damaged people. People who are missing something in their lives and so want to have something to fill that in. I believe it's entirely possible. They find the friendship that it supposedly offers and glom to it. But here's the thing. Part of the reason they feel that way is because a lot of times they tell themselves they feel that way. The self-talk they give themselves is so damaging. It is scary. They said the things that they say to themselves in quiet, in those private moments, out loud, that other people could hear them. Other people would do the, okay, I need to back up and back away now because this person is going to do something.
It's everyone too high.
You can't. You have to start learning to be gentle with yourself. You have to learn to be very gentle with yourself. You deserve it. You deserve as much gentleness and respect from yourself as you deserve it from everyone else. You need to remember that. You are all awesome people on your path. Remember that. Please. Please remember how special you have been along the way. You are valid and you are valued, both by others and by yourself. Doing no harm also means having fun. Okay? Instead of doing bad things, do good things. Right? Humor is important. Every faith in the world has fun. Zen has fun. Right? Would you like to hear a Zen joke?
Sure.
The Zen master walks up out here, walks up to one of the hot dog stands and says, "Make me one with everything." So the guy makes him one with everything. The Zen master hands him a $20 bill. The guy puts a $20 bill in his change box, closes the lid. The Zen master goes, "Wait a minute. I thought you owed me something." The Zen master says, "I am sorry, sir. Don't you know that change comes from within?" Humor comes from all sorts of places. By humor that degrades other people is a non-starter. There are too many ways to have fun in this world to ever need that. Don't do it. Don't do it. There's too many other ways to have fun. You don't need to break someone else down for your pleasure and entertainment. Don't do it. Okay, so Tao of Maud, we celebrate all sorts of things because we like having fun. For instance, we celebrate birthdays. You know, or we celebrate important national holidays. And then we celebrate other national holidays. It says merry and bright. You know, no matter what tradition you celebrate, all right, may this holiday be filled with joy and happiness, just like me. So, and occasionally we even get involved in a conversation or two on Twitter, just like this. This is how we get involved. That's all we post. We don't post anything else. We just post that. That says it all. But on occasion, we also have to talk in another voice. Sometimes Maud's voice is not appropriate for the Tao of Maud. So at that point, we bring out a couple of other people. Sometimes we bring out Big Mac. He's a little bit more serious at times. So then on the other time, you need to ask a question. So when it's time to ask a question, think about that one. It's really true. I mean, with the last Spike episode, is that right or is that right? Look, the Tao of Maud's been a year-long journey. When I first started, I promised it 1 year. All right, ended that November 2nd, and people said, "Aw, come on, do another one." I did. I'm 3/4 of the way through that. All right, but when I was coming here, I said I needed to do a auction item. So for 2 weeks before we got here, I rushed through, completed every post for the entire year, compiled them, and we auctioned this off last night. Went for $150, all for Children's Hospital, so I was kind of proud of that. 2 of those exist, one of which went out. That's the other one. So. We make assumptions that things should be a certain way. I said this at the beginning, I'll say it to you now. But here's the thing, making assumptions keep us from seeing how things could be. So if you walk away with anything from this today, it's this. Keep your eyes open, please. Look at the people beside you, look at the people around you. Know that they're going through their own path with its own challenges, its own rewards, its own troubles, its own joys. Honor their path as much as they should honor yours. Don't expect them to, but it'd be nice if you did anyway. And in the end, you'll be rewarded. Because as we say in Zen, the journey is the reward. So again, once more, one road, many paths, all valid, all valued, as we do no harm to ourselves and others. Now, there's a box on the edge of the stage there. People who've been around have noticed I've been giving out rocks here and there about the thing. Those are all little boulders, okay? They say, take a boulder path. Normally I'd say take 1. But here's the thing, I want you each to take 4. Here's why. I want you to each give the other 3 out to 3 other people that you know and tell them that you understand that they're on their own path and that you respect the path that they're on, that you understand the issues that they go through in their life, and that you honor their struggles, their triumphs in that, and you are there for them if they ever need. Okay? And that rock will remind them that you're there for them. Okay? So please take the rocks when you on your way out. Okay? Now, this is probably the last one of these I'm going to do before the end of the year. I have a tribute video to the Tao of Maud. Kind of shows a bit of what we do. So we're going to show this here, and that is the final thing. So before we leave, I'm going to tell you this. As I said, I get wisdom from all sorts of weird spots. So as I leave you, I say, in the words of Bill S. Preston, Esquire, and Ted Theodore Logan, rather. Go out and be excellent to each other. Partying on is optional. Thank you very much.
My world and made the stars align. Now I can see the signs. You pick me up when I get down so I can shine. Shine like rainbows. Shine like rainbows. Shine like rainbows. Shine like rainbows. us up so we can shine.